Right now at 10, a surprising twist in a federal conviction that could unlock evidence in the deadly shooting of Renee Good. Plus, a political power struggle in Minneapolis. The city council votes to oust the public safety commissioner. The mayor fires back with a veto. And now the fight could shape the future of the police chief. Then a 9-year-old boy identified as the student who started a fire inside a St. Cloud elementary school. Plus, ticketing takedown, a $10 million settlement for StubHub, and it could mean money back in your pocket. And a critical countdown inside the intense preparations ahead of the Artemis II crew's return to Earth. First at 10, some scattered rain, even snow showers in some places tonight. Thanks for joining us on air and streaming on KARE 11+. I'm Julie Nelson. Let's get right to Belle in the backyard, who has a look at the timing. Hi, Belle.
Well, hi, Julie. It came down for a little while, and you know what? It was snow. In fact, Ortonville had snow covering the ground. Wilmer had snow covering the ground. Warm enough here that we had mainly rain, but now it is moving off to the east, and we do anticipate an absolutely beautiful Friday. You can see that the rain will be heading in that direction. If you're heading in that direction tonight, you will be driving in rain the entire time, all the way down to Madison. Otherwise, clear skies are on their way, and a beautiful Friday as well. So let's take a look at the evening planner. So right now we're sitting at 37 degrees. By morning, it won't be bad. Sunshine and 33. And if you're wanting a spring weekend, you're saying, when is it going to start warming up? Well, we've got it for you all the way through the weekend. Look at this, in the 70s. We'll talk about when you'll be impacted with rain, thunderstorms, and possibly even our first bout of severe weather in just a few moments.
All right, thank you, Belle. Tonight, a federal judge has ordered ICE and the Justice Department to turn over evidence in connection to the deadly shooting of Renee Good. But here's the twist. The evidence is actually part of a separate case. Jessica Hart has details.
Go arrest ICE! Go arrest ICE!
Months before ICE agent Jonathan Ross shot and killed Renee Good, he was dragged by a car during an attempted arrest of another man who was found guilty of assault in December.
Yes.
Eric Newmark represented Roberto Carlos Munoz Guatemala in that case.
What we had asked the judge to do was to basically give us the entire investigative file relating to the murder of Renee Good. And we wanted it for two reasons. One, because it potentially could result in a motion for a new trial. And second, because it potentially can contain what's called mitigating information, which might help to reduce my client's sentencing if we are not successful in getting a new trial.
Newmark says at the time his client didn't know Ross was an officer. He says Ross was aggressive in his client's case, and there were no body cameras to show the interaction between Ross and Munoz Guatemala.
What we now know about how Jonathan Ross relates to individuals in vehicles that are not doing what he believes they should be doing. I think if we'd had that information at my trial, the jury might have viewed his actions differently and might not have given potentially as much credence to the officer's versions of events in light of what we now know about how he acted in the shooting and murder of Renee Good.
Newmark says a judge issuing a wide range of information at this point in his client's case is rare. The court found not all, but some of the investigative files should be available, including Ross's training and personnel files and all statements made by Ross an hour before and during the shooting of Renee Good. If he receives the information, it could be made public.
Well, anything that's in a court filing is available to the public. And so if there's information that ultimately the magistrate and the court release to me, and I use that either in a motion for a new trial or in a sentencing argument, that information is all publicly available. So that information would be available to the public and certainly to the prosecutors.
Newmark says if the government doesn't turn over the information, the government could ask for the case against Munoz Guatemala to be dismissed. If that happens, the judge would decide whether or not to dismiss the case of a man who's already been found guilty. I did reach out to the Department of Homeland Security and have not heard back yet.
All right, thank you, Jessica. Right now, the fate of the top public safety official in Minneapolis is in limbo. Today, the Minneapolis City Council voted 7-6 not to reappoint Community Safety Commissioner Todd Barnett. Progressive members of the council criticized his handling of the budget, MPD, and some high-profile cases, including the shooting of Davis Maturi by his neighbor, Allison Lucier, and Maria Samuels, both of whom were victims of domestic violence. Mayor Jacob Fry says he will veto the decision.
Year after year, this office has failed to do anything meaningful to advance public safety beyond policing.
The vote that happened today was neither about Todd Barnett's qualifications nor was it about his record.
The council could vote to override the mayor's veto later in the month with a supermajority. But if that doesn't happen, the city attorney is currently reviewing what happens next with Barnett's position. The future of the MPD police chief, Brian O'Hara, is also uncertain. Mayor Fry has yet to submit O'Hara's name to the council to be reappointed. Joe McCoy joins us now with more on this political power dynamic. Joe?
Well, Julie, as one political scientist said to me tonight, quote, "We are going to see car crashes all the time in the city council with this split between moderate and progressive members. That split raising questions about the future of Minneapolis's top cop."
There are 6 ayes and 7 nays.
That item fails.
The Minneapolis City Council voting down the reappointment of Community Safety Commissioner Todd Barnett is raising new questions about the future of Police Chief Brian O'Hara and the overall dichotomy amongst council members.
The vote that took place today was about vote trading and political gamesmanship.
Fry quick to denounce the vote.
The theme here is instability and negotiation.
But Larry Jacobs, University of Minnesota political science professor, says this is likely a sign of what's to come.
The Barnett episode is a good example of what we're going to see in the future, which is instances where the city council blocks the mayor is able to block the city council, and then they negotiate some sort of outcome.
The council is split between 7 progressives and 6 moderates, something Jacobs says Fry could use to his advantage by building coalitions with a couple of progressive members.
Mayor Fry needs 1 vote from the 7 to come over to his side, and he starts winning all the time.
A win the mayor is looking for in the coming months is the reappointment of Police Chief Brian O'Hara.
I will be voting against this appointment.
Fry hoping to avoid a repeat of today.
Chief O'Hara, as I've stated, continues to have my full support.
So this is going to be a real test of Mayor Fry's political skills. The fact that the mayor is going to have, an additional 3, 4, 5 months to build that majority is going to be helpful.
Backdoor politicking that Jacobs says isn't going anywhere.
The politics of Minneapolis just getting warmed up.
Professor Jacobs says in the coming months he expects Mayor Fry and Police Chief O'Hara to address whatever concerns various council members have about voting to reappoint O'Hara to try and secure a majority. Julie.
All right, really interesting. Thank you, Joe. Today, the last remaining defendant in a family of Feeding Our Future suspects pleaded guilty. Gandhi Mohammed took a plea deal today that has a few extra months of prison time, but prosecutors also promised to not prosecute him for any other crimes they're investigating. That is a major concession because he's been involved with companies billing multiple Medicaid programs. St. Cloud police now say a 9-year-old boy intentionally started the fire at Westwood Elementary that caused millions of dollars in damage. Because he's under 10 years old, he can't be prosecuted for a criminal offense. The Stearns County Attorney's Office will decide if there's any other course of action. The school's been closed for nearly 2 weeks for a deep cleaning. A Minnesota mom is getting jail time after her daughter and another child overdosed on chocolate laced with magic mushrooms. 40-year-old Cassie Torianen was sentenced to 90 days in jail along with 5 years of supervised probation. According to charging documents, her 6-year-old daughter took a chocolate bar laced with magic mushrooms to Cokato Elementary School. School nurses reported the incident to deputies after the kids started showing symptoms following snack time. Well, today, lawmakers discussed a possible lifeline for HCMC. A bill to help fund Hennepin County Medical Center got its first hearing at the state capitol today. That bill would raise the county's sales tax by 1%, with most of the money helping to keep HCMC afloat amid their massive budget shortfall. The bill's author acknowledged this is a first draft and there will likely be many amendments. This is a rare bipartisan issue as both a Republican and Democrat presented it to the committee.
The fact that, this isn't a political issue, making sure that human beings in our state stay alive and have the basic things that they need is our shared work here.
Republican House Speaker Lisa Demuth has questioned what the hospital is doing in the meantime to right-size its deficit. There's not another hearing date for this bill scheduled just yet. Tonight, the NFL is defending its media deal amid news the Justice Department is investigating whether the league is forcing fans to pay too much in subscription fees. The NFL says 87% of its games are available on TV for free, and for decades they've put fans front and center in content distribution. Last year, Forbes estimated the cost of watching every NFL game via streaming was $765 per season. Well, StubHub may owe you money. Today, the ticket exchange company agreed to a $10 million payout, a settlement for a federal lawsuit that alleged StubHub deceptively advertised ticket prices without disclosing its fees. If you bought tickets between May 12th and 14th of last year, you're likely to be eligible for a refund. The refund will reimburse customers for any fees they paid. Coming up, the new push for some Minnesota lawmakers to ban a form of betting. Plus, the final voyage home. From precision checks to splashdown preps, the Artemis II crew is making every second count before their return tomorrow from deep space. And Amazon making access to weight loss drugs easier than ever.
On this side, mundane, noise wall.
On the other,
Hundreds of hang-ups.
We check out the phones like every day.
There we go. And growing. Monday at 10 in the land of 10,000 stories.